What's up, everybody? My name is Brett Bartholomew. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite MMA conditioning circuits. When you're thinking about MMA conditioning circuits, there are so many ways you can spin this. In a previous video, I talked about the body's energy systems, almost like you would think of your salary, credit cards, and cash. So when we're thinking of our salary, we're thinking of the oxidative or aerobic system. This is really anything that is 2 to 3 minutes and beyond, our long kind of steady state intervals. And why I call it your salary, or why I liken it to salary, is because, guys, the energy systems don't just turn on and off. No matter what you've heard in like bro science YouTube channels or anything like that, everything is always feeding each other. They're like dimmer switches on on like a lighting system in your house. So even if I sprint all out for my life for 5 seconds, that is the predominant energy system. There is your phosphagen energy system. But even then, the aerobic pathways are contributing around 6 to 8% of that energy. So that's what I mean by they're never turned off. You know, when we look at the anaerobic pathway, where a lot of you live, most of you are going to live in that 30-second to a minute and a half. You mimic all your conditioning circuits off of that. That's like cash. We can pull it out of our pocket and spend it really quickly, but it's limited in amount. And that's exactly what happens if you just crush that anaerobic pathway. You do it again and again and again, and eventually you can't recover because you're continuing to just hammer the same things you already get in fight training. And that's actually what leads to gassing out more often than not. It's ironic because people think people gas out because they're out of shape. It's not the case. Well, it is sometimes, but more often than not, athletes are gassing out, fighters are gassing out because they're not altering the different pathways that they train. Finally, our credit card is our phosphagen energy system, and that's the one I'm going to show you guys today because it's the one that fighters neglect most often because they think it's the easiest. This is really that 5 to 15 second or 5 to 10 second pathway, such as that all-out sprint I mentioned earlier, or 10 seconds on, 50, that's 50 seconds off. Why do people neglect this? Because they think it's easy. They do the first 5 reps, they're not out of breath, they're not dead, tired, throwing up, so they think it's not hard enough. Where really, if they just did 5 or 6 more reps and they did it the intensity they should, they would understand that just how important, how critical, and how underdeveloped that energy system is. Why is it like a credit card? Because again, it's the fastest one we turn on. If I was to just sprint right now, I can activate that energy system immediately, but with great consequences. If I continue to hammer that, much like the anaerobic pathway, I'll get into debt. You've got to recover. You've got to have a longer rest interval for you to be able to put out higher power output. Same thing we talk about in strength training. I cannot lift maximal loads with short rest periods because fatigue is the enemy of strength and power. Save all that stuff for your fight training. Now's the time to build the engine. So what we're going to show you today is we're going to get on the VersaClimber, one of my favorite tools. Simple, straightforward, easy to teach. You're going to set a clock or a timer, your stopwatch, whatever, for a 15-second work interval. And you're going to rest for 45 seconds. Now, if you want to do this training session or workout right after, you can do 2 sets of 8 to 10 reps of this. So we're going to start with the VersaClimber. We're going to move to the aqua bag and go to the bike. So when I tell you guys 10 seconds out, I'm not talking about you doing this and you looking at the camera saying that you're grinding for Instagram. We are talking about an all-out, max speed, max effort interval. Now, I don't care how good a shape you're in. If you're going all out there, you're going to need that full 45 seconds for recovery. So we're going to hit that. Then during that 45 seconds, we're going to move over to a bag. You can use bag gloves. You can use whatever you have at your disposal. And there's a lot of flexibility here as well. You can work power shots. You can just work output. You can work anything that you need help with. I love the power shots because we're training a pathway that's associated with power to begin with. So that 45-second timer went. Now, I'm not worried about output. I don't want to just sit here. The goal isn't to get tired. The goal is to be powerful. So for 15 seconds, you're finding whatever angles you can take, focusing on rocking that bag. Time's up, 45-second rest. Now we're moving over to the bike. Almost everybody has access to a bike. The bike's self-limiting, meaning if you don't have good form, it's going to inhibit you, which makes it great for managing injury risk. Another thing I love about the bike is its accommodating resistance. That's a strength and conditioning nerd term that means it's going to accommodate to the effort that you give. So the harder I go on this thing, the more difficult that fan is going to be to overcome. So as I'm looking at the timer or waiting for it to beep, I start pedaling slowly, and again, it's 15 seconds all out, taking a look at the watts, making sure that round to round, I'm tracking that. If the first round you're hitting 700, 800 watts, and then all of a sudden by the second or third round, you guys are at 400 or 300, that's a gap. That's telling you that it's not a matter of your conditioning so much, that can be your strength level, all right? Understand that getting stronger aids your conditioning. The stronger you are, the less effort it takes for me to overcome this fan speed, the less effort it takes for me to push into the pedals of the climber, and I'm able to recover faster. So in essence, a good strength and conditioning program, a good conditioning circuit, a good mixed martial arts ESD program is a healthy balance between power, strength, smart intervals, and managing your recovery. You want to learn more about energy systems? Click the link below and you'll have access to a free 45-minute webinar.